so today I'm going to do my August wrap-up. This was the best reading month for me ever. Seriously, I never read so much in my entire life. This month I read 14 books. Yeah, I know, that's a lot. I read like 6 or 7 a month, and that's a good month for me, so I have no idea what happened to me. I was in my vacation, I had nothing to do, so that was awesome, and I read some pretty good books. On the first day of this month, I actually finished 2 books. I had been reading them on the booktubeathon, but I was only able to finish them on the 1st of August. So, the first book that I finished that day was The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. This book was beautiful. If you don't know what this is about, it's about 4 generations of women in this special family, ending up with Ava Lavender. Each and every one of these women has some kind of special abilities or magical powers, and Ava has wings. This is a magical realism book, and it's absolutely beautiful, super whimsical. I don't think I ever read a magical realism book, but for the first one, it was pretty good. If you don't know what it is, magical realism, it's basically our world but with some magical aspects, but it is in fantasy. And I gave 5 out of 5 stars to this book. It's now one of my all-time favorite novels. Then I finished Summer Days and Summer Nights by every single author that you can think of. I started reading these stories basically last year, but to be honest, I didn't like this book. I was kind of expecting cute summer contemporary stories, but they were all very weird. Even Cassandra Clare, who is one of my favorite authors, I didn't like her story. Every single one basically starts with a boy and a girl in a cute summer contemporary setting, but out of the sudden a monster shows up, or a demon, and everything was weird. I don't know, I didn't like this book at all. There were some very good stories, like 2 or 3, but I gave it 2 stars because I didn't really like this book and I didn't want to pick up more stories. Then I read Stolen Songs by Samantha Armstrong, and this book was actually sent to me in exchange for a review. And I was so happy that I finally received a book in exchange for a review. This is amazing. If you are around this community, you know how cool that is. I absolutely love this book. I was very surprised. I wasn't expecting to like it so much, but I did. This book follows 2 main characters, Maddie and Kingston. Maddie is a foster kid. She has this very terrible home life. She has to steal for a living, and she's surrounded by drugs and abuse. But she has a gift for music, and she wants to get into Juilliard. And she also goes to this fancy private school, where she doesn't fit. But in that school, she meets a boy. That boy is Kingston. He's super rich, and in the beginning he seems like your typical popular guy. He likes to party and he's a player. But he also has a secret, a very terrible and sad past. Going into this book, I was expecting to be this very typical YA romance, but it wasn't. It talked about very important topics, and I wasn't expecting this kind of depth into this book. The writing style was absolutely perfect. It was super fast-paced, but also very beautiful. It was perfect for this kind of novel. As for the characters, they were very well developed. I loved Maddie and Kingston. Kingston is amazing, let me tell you. Like, book boyfriend material, awesome. You have no idea. I love their individual stories, but I love their relationship as well. And what I liked the most was that they felt like real teenagers, with real teenager problems, but also with real life problems. But overall, this story was absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend you to pick it up. Seriously, you won't be disappointed. And I read When Dimple Met Rishi. I adore this book. This book was super cute. This book is about 2 Indian main characters, Rishi and Dimple. Dimple feels like she's very different from her parents. She doesn't really care about the Indian ideals. She doesn't want what her parents want for her. To find a good husband, to get married young and start to have children. She wants to be independent, to go to college, to study web development. She's kind of a tomboy. She doesn't care at all about makeup and clothes. So she disagrees with the parents very much. But unlike her, Rishi is the complete opposite. He loves the Indian ideals. He thinks that arranged marriages are practical and simple, and because that was the way that his parents met, he thinks that that is just perfect. So, when their parents arrange a marriage between them, Rishi is all about it. But Dimple doesn't know anything about it. So they both go to this summer camp about web development. And we follow their story. This book is incredibly funny. It's super adorable and sweet. I love Dimple and I love Rishi. I think that their relationship was just absolutely precious. And I also think that this might be one of my favorite books of 2017. So it's pretty good. Obviously, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Then I read It's Not Summer Without You by Jenny Han, the second book in the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. The first book is about Belly, and she goes to this summer house every single year with her mother and her brother, and also her mom's best friend and her 2 sons, Jeremiah and Conrad. Belly kind of always had a crush on the older boy, Conrad. He's very dark and mysterious, but Jeremiah is the funny one, and is kind of a best friend to Belly. And the summer of the first novel, it's when everything changes. They finally notice that Belly is not a little girl anymore. This book was very fun. Not as cute and light as the first one, but still a very fun and enjoyable read. I had some problems with it. It wasn't a book that changed my life or anything, but it was pretty good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I finally read A Court of Wings and Ruined, and I loved this book. I wasn't disappointed at all. I heard some mixed reviews. Some people were very disappointed with it, and others loved the book. And I have to agree with them. It wasn't as good as A Court of Mist and Fury, but that's very hard. And also, this book is very different from it. The other one is a middle book. It's about finding yourself and falling in love. This one, she's already in love, and she already found herself. This is the big finale. It's about war and plotting, and it's absolutely fantastic. And it has the love of my life, Reese. Seriously, this book was amazing. This is the second best book that I read in 2017. I loved this book so much. Seriously, it was so good. Then I finally read The Perks of Being a Wallflower. This book has been in my to-be-read list since forever, and I finally got around to buy it. If you don't know what this book is about, which I highly doubt because this is kind of a classic, but this book follows Charlie, and he's a wallflower. Basically, he's very introverted and shy and very socially awkward. He doesn't really participate in life, basically. He just stays in a corner and watches everything happening around him until he meets this group of people who kind of change his life. I had very high expectations for this book, but to be honest, I don't think it was as good as everyone said. I get why everyone loves this book. It deals with very important topics, and I can't get this book out of my head. It's a very beautiful story, but I had some problems with it. For example, the main character, Charlie, I'm pretty sure that he's autistic, but it doesn't say anywhere in this book. And also, he was very innocent for his age. It felt like a 12-year-old in a body of a 16-year-old. So I'm still not sure about which rating to give this novel, but I settled down with 4 stars. It was a very important read and a very thought-provoking novel, but I didn't fall in love with it like I was expecting. So yeah, 4 stars. Then I read Revenge, Ice Cream, and Other Things I Best Serve Cold. This is the perfect beach read. Seriously, it's very light and funny and fluffy. This is the second book in a trilogy. The first novel starts with Gemma, and she just broke up with her 2-year-old boyfriend. She was going to go to this summer program with him, but because they broke up, she obviously can't go with him anymore. And her mom was going to Scotland, and she can't go with her either, so she ends up going to the Hamptons with her father. And she hasn't been in the Hamptons for a very long time, because the last time she went, very bad things happened. So, when she goes this summer, she tries to fix her past mistake. This was a very fun and quick read. This is a very simple book, and I really enjoyed this book. You can't possibly put it down once you start reading, but I also had some problems with it, because there was just too much drama, and I couldn't understand some behaviors that the characters had. They just didn't seem realistic to me. But if it wasn't for those things, which are very small problems actually, I still really enjoyed this book, and I really want to read the last one. So I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And then I read A List of Cages by Robin Rowe. And oh my god, this is one of the best books that I ever read. This is now one of my all-time favorite books. Seriously. This book follows 2 main characters, Julian and Adam. Adam is a senior, and his life is kind of perfect. He's very popular, he has this fantastic group of friends, and for this school year, is now the school psychologist assistant. He kind of gets this task. He has to take this freshman who is trying to avoid the school psychologist to her. And that freshman ends up being Julian, his old foster brother. But now Adam realizes that Julian is very different from what he used to be. He now has the secrets. So this book follows their journey together, their friendship, and Adam trying to figure it out what happened in the years that they were apart. And I don't even know how to express how much this book means to me. Seriously. Adam is this amazing character. He's so sweet. Julian is this odd child who has no friends. And Adam is very popular. So surprisingly, Adam kind of takes Julian under his wing and puts him in this friend group and basically forces everyone to accept him. And he doesn't care about anyone's opinion. He's just like, this is my brother Julian, he's now our friend, he's going to hang out with us, and if you have a problem, you can leave. And every single interaction between the characters and the group of friends was just so sweet and fantastic. And it felt very real to me. It didn't have, when you sometimes read some young adult novels, there aren't any good friends and good people. But this book is full of them. Adam has also ADHD and I have ADD, so I related to him a lot. And it was just fantastic how the author spoke about it. And Julian, I felt so bad for him about all the stuff that happened to him. This book deals with child abuse in a fantastic way. Seriously, you can tell that the author knows what she's talking about. Julian, even after all the things that he went through, he still remains this very kind character. Seriously, I know that I'm not saying what I want to say about this book, but I don't have words to express my feelings for it. Seriously, please trust me. Go pick this book up. You won't regret it. Obviously, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Then, I reread one of my all-time favorite books, Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. If you know this about me, I love Morgan Matson. I adore her books. And this summer, I felt like reading them again. And I started with Since You've Been Gone. This book is about Emily. And she's this very shy and introverted character. She kind of stays in the shadow of her very extroverted best friend, Sloane. Sloane does all the talking. She takes Emily around everywhere. But in the beginning of the summer, Sloane disappears and Emily doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know where her best friend is. And her plans for the summer are basically ruined until this letter from Sloane appears. And this letter contains a list of 13 things for Emily to do in the summer. And those things are things that Emily would never do. things completely out of her comfort zone, like skinny dipping, dancing until dawn, and like steal something and break something. And so Emily thinks that if she somehow finishes this list, she will find Sloane. So this book, it's about exactly that. Emily doing the things on the list and meeting new people and experiencing new stuff and growing up. This book is incredibly fun. It isn't as light as the other cute summer contemporaries that I showed on this wrap-up, but it's still fantastic, honestly. And reading it for the second time, I think I even liked it more than the first time. So go check it out. Obviously, this is a 5 out of 5 stars, without a doubt. And then I read Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon Maguire. So this book follows a group of kids who are basically like those stories that you hear about, where kids go to these magical gates to another world, but when they come back, they don't feel like this world is their home anymore. And also their parents and their family doesn't believe them. They believe that they are just crazy, so they send them to this boarding school to get better. So this book follows their story on the boarding school, where every single kid has been to another world. This book is great LGBT rap. It has an asexual main character and also a transgender boy and other types of sexualities. But even with that, it was kind of a meta book for me. I don't know. I didn't really like the characters, I didn't really like the plot, I didn't hate it, but I also didn't like it. So I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. And then I read the final book in the summer I turned pretty, We'll Always Have Summer. And I didn't like this book at all. I know that that's a very unpopular opinion. Really, this is actually like everyone's favorite book in the trilogy, but I didn't like it. One of the problems that I had with it was the fact that characters aren't real to me. Belly, she has been this very innocent kid from the first book, but in the first book she was 16 and she felt like 14. But in this one, she's almost 19 and she still feels like 14. So it was kind of annoying. Like, her decisions didn't feel like a decision that a rational person would do. And the boys that we know throughout the series are completely different in this one. Like, I couldn't understand. And also, she ended up with the wrong boy in my opinion, so yeah. And just the plot of this one, it felt very stupid and I just wanted to slap everyone in this novel. So it just got me way too frustrated to actually enjoy this book. So yeah, I didn't like it. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. And then I read Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. This book follows 2 outcast boys, Ari and Dante, and the story of their friendship and also just finding themselves. This is a very highly praised book, like you can see with the list of awards that are on the cover, and I love this book. It was fantastic. I really liked the characters, but because I read A List of Cages and other books this month, it didn't blow my mind away because I read better, but it was still a book that I really liked. So I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And finally, I reread another book this month, Second Summer by Morgan Madsen. Again, this is my favorite Morgan Madsen book. This is about Taylor, and she just found out that her father has terminal cancer. So their family decides that they were going to go to their old lake house to spend this last summer together. But the problem is that the last time that Taylor went there, she left some unfinished business and she doesn't really want to go back. This book, it's absolutely beautiful. Not only do you have this very sad topic with her father, but this ends up being also a very fun read. It follows Taylor fixing her mistakes and being with these people and hanging out in the summer house and seeing their family. It used to be this very separate family, like no one knew anything about each other, they didn't really spend any time together, but in this book you see them really growing together, and it's absolutely fantastic. Everyone grows. Taylor, her family, the relationships, and everything with her father just makes it even better, even if it's really sad. But seriously, even if this is the most sad book of Morgan Matson, it's still my favorite, and I highly recommend it. So please go read it. Obviously, this was a 5 out of 5 stars. So that was it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up. And you can also go check out my last video. I hope that you can stick around with me, so please subscribe. Bye!